Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. My name is Brandon, and welcome to this Free State Colorado interview. The mission of Free State Colorado is to promote a culture of liberty, freedom of the individual, and a free market. Today, I'm joined by Taylor Rhodes, Executive Director of Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, or RMGO for short. Taylor, I hope you are well, and thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Well, Taylor, I believe Colorado gun owners are facing the most hostile and authoritarian regime in state history. Gun owners really need to realize just how serious this threat is. With the rash of anti gun ordinances that popped up across the state because of Senate Bill 256 and the wins of anti gun Democrats in the 2022 election, gun owners are really facing an emboldened anti gun establishment, pushing some of the worst anti gun bills in state history. So let's jump into it. What are the anti-gun politicians in the state legislature proposing?
Right. So I guess it's probably best to go back 2 years and talk about 256 first, and then wade our way into this because it kind of plays into their whole strategy. So for those who may not know, Senate Bill 256 was the bill that allowed localities to pass their own gun restrictions. Almost immediately after this was passed, we caught wind of the small town of Superior looking to pass gun control at a fairly extreme level, passing assault weapons bans and going even further than the state magazine ban, which they did of limiting down to 10. So we immediately, well, I can't say immediately, when they passed this into law, we were sitting around with our attorneys, and a couple days later, the Bruen decision was laid down. And for those who don't know what the Bruen decision is, the Bruen decision essentially changed the way that gun cases are going to be litigated for the future of life as we know it, right? So it takes away what's called intermediate scrutiny. So that's the essentially the cost benefit analysis of what certain policy may benefit the community. So, for example, a judge can no longer look at a so-called assault weapons ban and say, well, 33% of mass shootings happen with AR-15s. It probably benefits society if we ban them. They can no longer look at that. So they can only look at the text, history, and tradition of the Second Amendment, meaning that if it's one of the words that our attorneys are telling me to use is if it is in common use, it would then go back to that text, history, and tradition of the Second Amendment. So, for example, on the assault weapons ban in Superior, we sued under the Bruen. The judge ruled in our favor on our TRO, which was our early win, and literally wrote that there's no way that you could not say that AR-15s are not in common use. There are more AR-15s in circulation than Ford F-150s by a matter of 3 times. So there's no way that you could say that they're not in common use. So what does that have to do with the fight that we're fighting today? So in the last 2 to 3 months, we have heard rumblings, have been in stakeholder meetings, and have been talking to and with politicians on both sides of the aisle in regards to what could happen in regard to your constitutional freedoms. In regards to the bills that are coming up, initially we had been told that there could be upwards of 22 bills that could be dealt down, from everything from background checks on ammunition to expanding red flag. That list has now been shortened to 6 bills. The Mac Daddy of them all is the assault weapons ban, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that because that's really the most egregious. In addition to that, they're drafting a 10-day waiting period bill. In addition to that, they are drafting a bill that would raise the age to purchase a long gun. We have heard two different things. It will likely be 25. We've also heard 21. But their argument for 25 is that you can't rent a car until you're 25, so you shouldn't be able to own a gun. Stupid argument, but whatever. The other bills, they're looking at banning ghost guns, and they are looking at banning, essentially expanding 21-256, which is again that preemption bill that we talked about, and banning, allowing localities to ban shooting on private property as well. So now they're not just going after your guns, they're going after your private property. Let's see, did I miss any? Was that 6? I don't know. If not, I'll think of it in a minute. We'll talk about it then.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to keep track. I mean, it's like shock after shock. I mean, it's crazy. It's unbelievable that, especially after the Bruen decision, that the state legislature, that these little politicians in Denver think that they can just overwrite the Constitution of the United States, overwrite the Supreme Court, and basically push these absolutely authoritarian bills on us. I mean, it's shocking, and people should be shocked. People need to be upset about this because this is a direct attack on you as an individual, as a citizen, as somebody who wants to defend themselves and their family. I mean, it is shocking, truly.
Right. And this is what I've been saying is over the last 10 years, the Bloomberg gun control lobby has spent millions of dollars in Colorado. I mean, millions. I mean, in this last election, in one state Senate seat, they spent almost $2 million. I mean, that's unheard of. That's congressional money. That is not chump change. So they're sitting back and they're saying, well, we've invested all of this money, and what have we gotten out of it? We've gotten red flag bills, great. We've gotten mag ban capacity, great. We've got lost and stolen, great. What have we actually done to disarm people? And the answer is little to nothing. So they're sitting back and they're saying, what are the big things that we can do to actively disarm Coloradans? And frankly, that's where the Bloomberg gun control lobby is saying it's time to pay the piper and have a full blown assault weapons ban. And actually, based on the text of this ban, it goes even further than California, even further than Maryland. And there was a bill that was just signed into law in Illinois a few days ago, and it goes even further than that. This would be, as written, the most extreme, assault weapons ban that's been passed in America as of today.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, for somebody born and raised here and people who've moved here because of the freedom of Colorado, it's unthinkable that,
Right.
Colorado politicians would say, "Hey, what is California? What's Illinois doing? What does this New York money want us to do?" And we're going to use Colorado as our little tip of the spear on their side to reorganize society in such a way that individuals aren't able to legally defend themselves with firearms. I mean, it's egregious, and it is, I truly believe, an attempt to totally restructure society to disarm people and turn Americans, turn Coloradans away from being able to defend themselves and own guns. I mean, it's a direct assault on our culture.
Right. It 100% is. And it's the way that this bill was drafted. It clearly, they took the federal assault weapons bill that was passed in the House, and they took California's bill. They married them and made them even more extreme. So what we're facing in Colorado today is, I mean, they're literally, in my opinion, they are looking for precedent in the courts, right? They are trying to test their luck to see how far they can go and what they can get away with. So they've used Colorado as a testing ground for now almost 2 decades. So it's quite concerning that the free people of Colorado are this. I guess we could say the semi-free people of Colorado are the the guinea pigs here in what is a going to be a legal test for them.
Interesting. So yeah, they want to do the most extreme proposal possible and then see how far they can get. It
Yep.
seems, throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, basically.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
So this assault weapons ban of 2023 is just a true gun ban. I mean, these are not assault weapons; they're not automatic weapons. We know those are already heavily regulated by the federal government. So, what as written, what would this assault weapons ban bill? What kind of guns would it
Right.
ban?
Right. So I've been saying this is not your grandfather's assault weapons ban. This does not just go after, guns that we think of when we hear the name assault weapon. This is not just going after, AR-15s and AK-47s. This is going after many pistols. The Glock that I have on my hip would be illegal because it has a built-in compensator. It goes after many shotguns. If you have one of the new Benelli M4s, that will be illegal because it has a pistol grip. There's a couple other qualifiers if it has a threaded barrel, if it can accept a suppressor, a handful of other things. But in our estimate, we believe if this bill was to be signed into law today, it would ban roughly 70% of firearms in circulation.
Wow. Wow, and I'd have to think too, probably the most common type of firearms that people associate with guns these days, right? Based on movies and the culture where you see guns a lot, a lot of it
Right.
is it's all semi-automatic, tricked out pistols or semi-automatic rifles. I mean, you see it
Right.
on all the cop TV shows and all the military movies and everything out there today. So I mean, for most people, this is like what their idea of a firearm is, especially younger people, I think.
Right. I mean, the bill virtually bans every single semi-automatic rifle. So if it's a magazine-fed semi-automatic rifle, it is likely going to be banned. The way they wrote the bill, it shows how stupid they are in regard to guns. They wrote if it has a shroud, a handguard, is what they're talking about, that either completely or partially covers the barrel, and you can hold it without being burned. This is literally what it says. Without being burned, it is an assault rifle. So I guess we're all going to have to go out and invest in welder's gloves because that's the only way that we'll not be able to be burned. Welder's gloves, be an extension of the firearm. I don't know. So yeah, it's egregious. We're doing everything we can to fight back. We're asking our members to sign petitions, to contact their legislators, to get in the fight. If you're a gun owner and you're not in this fight, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you don't care about the Second Amendment if you're not in this fight. To get involved, you can go to rmgo.org/AWB. That's going to direct you to a petition. And even more important is once you sign that petition, it's going to direct you to a donate link. Why I'm specifically talking about a donate link is we understand the political realities of this state. They have a supermajority in the House, I think by 4 votes. They lack a supermajority in the Senate by 1 vote. Governor Polis has signed every single gun control measure that has gone to his desk. There was an article that came out today that said that he was iffy on it, but given his track record, he will sign it, I believe, if it's given to him. So what does that mean for gun owners? We're not just going to lay on our back and take this. Even we're going to wave our flag under the at the state capitol, and we want our people to show up and sign petitions and come to the committee hearings and do all those things. All those things are extremely important. But what's even more important than that is being able to have the money to fight this in the courts. Based on our projections and speaking to our legal team and just giving a baseline overview of what this lawsuit could look like, it could potentially cost us $750,000 to upwards of $1 million to fight this. To give a little context, when we fought the mag ban in state court, that cost us about $500,000. Taking this to federal court, the costs just get a little bit higher. Your expert witnesses just have to be a little bit better. And the costs associated are just unfortunately higher all around. So in reality, we need the money to fight this. We've got the money to file it and to get through the first, step or two in the legal process. But we need to be able to continue the fight and make sure that we are staying consistent in our fight back against this tyranny.
Now, Taylor, too, do you think that if RMGO is able to raise enough public outcry, if there's enough people who are upset about this and vocal about it, if you're able to get the kind of money you need, that at least this bill could be modified and kind of watered down a little bit? I know that's not a good reassurance to gun owners in Colorado, but it seems to me that some of the legislators, probably don't fully believe the anti-gun agenda entirely. Some of them might be a little more cautious and be unwilling to support such an extreme measure as this. I mean, do you see any chances of that happening?
So there's another draft going around. We have not been able to obtain this draft. They were not too happy that we obtained the first draft. Most of these politicians want to do everything in secret and in darkness. And us getting a hold of the first draft of this and kind of pissing in their cereal bowl did not make them too happy. So we'll see what the second draft comes out as. I believe whenever they introduce it, they may leave a couple of things in there as concessions to make the Republicans feel like they got something. But in reality, I don't think it's going to be watered down all that much. I think that the bill that's introduced will by and large be the bill that's passed, and that's frankly extremely concerning. And they have all of the power. They don't have to listen to the Republicans. The Republicans are just an annoying, kind of like an annoying little brother, just poking them on the side. That at the end of the day, it's not going to do anything other than annoy them. So yeah, they've got the votes. They're going to pass whatever bill they want.
Wow. Wow. So who would you say are the biggest anti-gun enemies in the state legislature? I know I don't have time to go over all of them, but if you had to pick a couple names of some of the biggest targets that gun owners should consider running against in the next election or supporting their opponents or trying to influence them in a way to maybe back down a little bit.
Right. So the three bill sponsors are Representative Beschenecker. I think he's from Fort Collins. It's Representative Epps. I think she's from Denver. And then Rhonda Fields. She's a senator from Aurora. Of course, Tom Sullivan will always have his hands over on any anti-gun bill possible. This bill is his wet dream. I mean, this is what he dreams of at night. I would not be surprised if he adds his name to this bill. Those are the kind of top four. Representative Woodrow from Denver, he's a nightmare on guns. I mean, essentially all of the Denver reps are going to be terrible on guns. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head without getting too much in the weeds.
I gotcha. Well, thank you for that because I think it's important to know, for people in Colorado, for voters, for activists to actually know some names and say, hey, these are the guys that are actually doing this. It's not just
Right.
some amorphous entity at the state capitol. These people have names, they have elections coming up, they have political ambitions too that need to be curbed.
Right.
If these politicians are willing to attack a fundamental right or fundamental God-given right to self-defense, then they deserve to be run out of this state and stopped at any other political position they want to get to.
Right. Right. I agree. I 100% agree.
Well, I thank you very much for everything Rocky Mountain Gun Owners is doing. I do encourage people to please become a member, sign the petition, donate to the legal fund, and do everything possible to stop this from happening and raise as much awareness as we can. I think, time eventually, with the courts and the culture is on the side of gun owners and our gun rights. However, it's going to be a bumpy road getting there.
Right, it is. And again, that link for the petition, I'm sure you'll throw it up in the link, but it is rmgo.org/AWB. That's Alpha Whiskey Bravo. So be sure to go to that link, sign your petition, and get involved. We need everyone in this fight.
Well, thank you very much, Taylor. Best wishes and good luck.
Yep.
Keep us up to
Thanks for
date.
having me.